What I have here is a blank, it's a pretty good size blank, from a orchard tree that was grafted from an English walnut to a black walnut, and that's quite common. And you get this really pronounced line through here. Because I have my own sawmill and I can mill up my own lumber, I can find these things. Now, when you're preparing a turning blank, there's a lot of ways that you can do this. I like to put on a faceplate. This is a small one, but it's really important that it's securely screwed in and down tight. I always wax the screws so that I get them back out easy, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it so that I can put a different type of chuck on the other side. So this is going to be the hollowed out portion of this bowl. So the screws are going to go into a void so they don't really hurt anything. Alright, I've got it chucked up on my wood lathe. Now I don't have a particularly fancy wood lathe. Mine is fairly inexpensive. It's an old Rockwell. And the first thing you do is once you get it chucked up on here, is you want to make sure that your blank is as close to perfectly round as possible. Now if I was to turn it on right now, this lathe would be jumping all over the place. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set a pencil mark right here and turn it by hand so that I can make a mark as close to this edge as possible, disconnect this, then I'm going to take it over to the bandsaw and true it up according to this centerpiece I put on there. It's pretty close, but you know, I did put a compass on there, I did find the center, but it's off balance. I don't want to have to true that up with the turning tools. Okay, now I've scribed a line on the inside of this because I want this to lay flat. And actually I had to make an adjustment because I got as close as I possibly could over on this side, and I'm going to have to cut out all this waste. So I thought I centered it pretty good, but I guess I missed that one spot, but you know, that's not too much. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this now. Now when I'm selecting the figure that I want to see in this bowl, let me turn it over here. This is actually going to be the bottom of the bowl because I'm going to cut down to that more pronounced figure. At this point, the bowl should be, I don't know, a quarter to maybe a half-inch thick at the bottom, and I'm hoping to reveal the other side of this beautiful feature in the bowl. Whereas if I turn it over, that side shows the graft, but it's not as near pronounced. So, because this will be the hollow, I made my choice looking at the bottom. We shall see. Okay, now I'm assuming that anybody that's watching this video is a wood turner and they know how to turn. So I want to talk about more than just the turning. I want to talk about realizing the grain in a piece of wood. This is more about the wood and recognizing how to uncover the hidden character within the wood. And I've trued it up here on the outside so that it's running balanced, and I did reveal a weakness here. So I'm going to take it back off the lathe. I'm going to go fill that with cyanoacrylate and kind of try to harden up that so that we don't have a failure. I hate those failures. They're scary. But here's a tip. Sometimes you get a piece of wood that's really hard to get those little tiny chatter marks out, like right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. But I've had some great success using a scraper. And I just keep working. It's a good sharp scraper, and it takes off beautiful little cuttings like this. Okay, I've done a pretty good job of smoothing this. And I wanted to do that first just to really check it to see if I've got any voids and know what I'm working at. If I had major defects, I probably would have stopped. Now I'm going to cut some sort of an inset dovetail, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a foot on this bowl. This is a 4-jaw chuck. It's a Nova chuck. The way this works is I'll be able to reverse this, and I'll be able to put it into this little recess that has a little bit of a dovetail on the inside, and it'll expand, and I can take off this other piece over here, and then I can open up the inside. So at this point I've got to add that when you're working the bottom of the bowl, before you turn it around and open it up, it's a good idea to finish this because you're not going to be able to rechuck it from the other side. Well, you could, but I try to get all this done on this side before I go and open up the inside. Okay, so I've pulled the faceplate off, and those are the screw holes. They go in about that far, which I will be able to turn out. And I have set this into the expanding chuck, and you can see I've brought up the back. I didn't put a finish on it, but I put it up to a pretty fine sanding. And I'm ready to hollow this baby out. Well, there we go. I've got it all sanded up. Took it in the shop, took it to the orbital sander. Now I'm taking it back to put it on the lathe. There, you can see clearly the grain that I'm talking about at the graft union. It's really rare to find a piece of wood that's got this kind of figure pattern to it. And if it has a story associated with it, then all the better. Put it back in the sun there. Oh yeah. The union of the English and the black. Two different types of walnuts come together to make one tree. Oh, look at that. First coat of oil. There's the graft. Let that one dry for a little bit, and I'm going to polish it up on the lathe and give it a second coat of oil and let it dry. And then I'm going to put a coat of wax on there and polish it up. Quite proud of that. Well, there we go. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah. There it is. It's my wedding present. There. And it's done.